Hey there guys, so back again in the garage gym. A few of you guys gave pretty good comments and feedback about how the bench press video helped you guys out. So I'm going to continue on with the how-to series and go through a couple of the big main lifts. The next one I'm going to go through tonight will be the overhead barbell press. So I'm just going to show you guys what I do and how I approach it, and the reasons behind it, because I'm big on avoiding injury. And just how it carries over to the bench press. So I'll cut to the chase and we'll make a start on it. Normal power bar again, 81 centimeters apart, the rings, 81 and a half. Exactly the same as the bench press bar. Now with the bench press, I took the widest legal grip that I could. With the shoulder press, I put my little fingers on the rings. So I just want to come in that little bit more because I find when pressing overhead, having a ridiculously wide grip isn't beneficial and taxes my upper back and lower back too much due to the movement. So when I duck under the bar, obviously hands in place, little fingers on the rings, I line it up with my chin, duck under, and I stand up. So I always try and keep this starting position. I'm not trying to start with the bar on my chest, because if I drop the bar onto my chest, I internally rotate with my shoulders, and that puts me in quite a damaging starting position. So for me, the movement is literally from my chin, overhead, and down. Now, if I try and bring it down onto my chest with a significant load, a lot of people compensate by leaning back into a severe state of spinal extension. And that will be really taxing on your lower back as well as quite damaging. So I find for me, I'm trying to build shoulders, I'm not trying to damage my lower back. I just bring it down to my chin and press overhead. So that's how I overhead press. And same cues as the bench press. Grip the bar tight, really squeeze it, and I'm slightly trying to pull the bar apart as I'm pressing up overhead. You'll see a lot of lifters, they'll throw their head forward. For me, I try and just watch the bar ideally go up. I don't really want to be moving my head too much while I'm under load. So with the overhead barbell press, the other reason I bring it down to my chin is when I'm in the position on the bench press and pulling my shoulder blades back, really retracting my scapula, the range of motion is significantly shortened. And I sort of take that same sort of range of motion and apply it to my overhead press. Hits the shoulders and triceps really well. And the other big thing that you get from overhead pressing, especially with this variation, because yes, it will allow you to lift slightly more weight, is that it really does tax your upper back. So I find, your scapula have to work really hard to hold position. And that just leads to a bigger upper back, but also makes you more stable on the bench press as you're sort of used to holding that, constant tension in your upper back. So there's big benefits when it comes to overhead pressing that way. In terms of sets and reps, I typically shoot for anywhere between 2 to 4 sets, and I'll try and stay in the 10 plus rep range, simply because shoulders aren't exactly a very stable joint at all, so you don't really want to risk damaging them. And having the higher reps, is going to help pump more blood into your shoulders. It's a little less taxing in terms of overall load. I prefer to try and grow shoulders more with volume. And the other reason is generally if I'm bench pressing and I've done heavy singles, my shoulders are already taxed. So I don't really want to further, run them into a state of, overtraining or making it hard for them to recover, especially since, they are such a temperamental, structure at times for a lot of individuals. So keeping that in mind, I always try and keep with the higher rep ranges. Sometimes I'll end up doing 3 sets of 20. Again, shoulders obviously burn out, upper back gets a huge pump, but then, your triceps are really forced to work really hard. And that's another thing that a lot of people have failed them on the bench press. When it comes to frequency, I try and train shoulders twice a week. Typically, that's because I'll bench press twice a week as well. So shoulders for me is always an accessory movement. Now, it's not always the overhead barbell press. Sometimes it's the overhead yoke press or yoke carry, or just, one arm dumbbell shoulder press, which I really enjoy as well. But typically, I only try and overhead press twice a week. and I just use it as an assistant movement for my bench press. I'm going to do one set of the barbell overhead press. I'm just going to shoot for 20 reps, and you guys will get a really good idea of how much upper back is required as well to maintain stability while pressing overhead. So overhead press, 20 reps, little fingers on the ring. So get in position, take a deep breath. And I control it down. So that was a very quick run through of how I overhead press. Biggest thing I could probably give is make sure that you only bring the bar down to your chin. A lot of people will have better mobility than I do, but at the same time, I'm trying to avoid any sort of shoulder injury or shoulder pain, especially when I'm bench pressing heavy, because that's my comp lift. I'm going to save my shoulders for that. And if you want to work shoulders in another manner, you can obviously go heavier with machines and other things where your movement is going to be guided by the machine as opposed to free weights. Shoulders, as I said, they're quite temperamental for most people, so it's a joint that I really do try and look after. As for the black marks on my back, that's from cupping, if you guys are wondering. I'll do a video later on it. If you guys have any further questions, just comment below. If you guys haven't already, hit like and subscribe, and have a great day wherever you are.